Hello everyone, I'm Benjamin Contreras, and welcome back to the Jasper Cat Production Show, and welcome to my second episode of my holiday game review series that I've started. And as you saw from my last video, if you didn't see that, you should probably go see it. Today's review is going to be about Dragon Age Inquisition. Now, before I actually start the review, I want to get something out of the way. I haven't played any other Dragon Age game aside from this one. This is the very first and only one that I've actually played, and you'll most likely see that because I haven't really gotten that far into the game, so I can't really say all this different stuff that many other reviewers about this game. They're most likely more have more experience with this series, and they'll probably mention a whole bunch of other stuff that I couldn't even possibly say in a regular video. So yeah, there are a couple things that I sort of skim over. I do apologize for that, but yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition. I haven't really gotten that far into the game in terms of the storyline, so I can't really say that much about the story itself, so I'm just going to go right into the gameplay and what this game actually is. Dragon Age Inquisition is a strategy/action, more strategy than action RPG, made by the company BioWare, the same creators of, I believe, Mass Effect and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And in terms of, the similarities between those games are rather similar because, in those games, well, I'll actually get into that later, but first of all, I'm going to list the stuff that I do like and the stuff that I don't like about this game. So, for starters, I do like how you're able to create a character. As always, I really like character creation in video games, especially RPGs that have a whole bunch of depth to them. I think it allows you to have more of a role-playing style. You're able to customize them in different ways. There's different ways you're able to play as your character. There's 3 different classes. There's a warrior, a rogue, and a mage. Each of them have distinct play styles, and they're different. There's more than one way you can actually play as that character. I think that's a good way to make characters distinct from one another, but that's actually on a thing that I don't like, which I'll get into later. Another thing that I do like is the way you're able to interact with characters in the game, because similar to Mass Effect and Knights of the Old Republic, you're able to during conversation you're able to go from a list of different options of what you're able to say, which I really like. It lets your character be more distinct and have a different interpretation of what the situation is. And I really like how they're able to add that sort of stuff into the game. Another thing that I do like is the way the game's played. The action-oriented part of the game I think is really fun. I really like going through the different enemies and having 4 party members as a whole, including your character. You can have 3 main followers with you, and each of them, for the most part, will be distinct. They're able to go on their own. They're able to attack in different ways. They're able to use different regular and special attacks. So that's really good. I like how they added a good sort of AI to them. Now, for things that I don't like. The main thing that I don't like about the game is that it has variety that isn't required. For one thing, before you actually start creating your character, you're able to choose your class. And, for example, if you choose a rogue, you'll have an option of either dual wielding or using a bow. And you're able to do this before the actual game starts, but the thing is, you're able to find a different, to give an example, my first character was a rogue, and I chose dual wielding, and I was able to also find a bow, so I decided to keep those 2 weapons and alternate with them But the thing is, if you're able to do that at any time in the game, what's your real point of choosing your main style if you can just change it at any other point while you're actually playing the game? I know that probably sounds like more of a nitpick, but I just feel like it's something that isn't required. Like a couple other things. Like I said, I like the action style camera. Like, it's in third person. I really like how you're able to like take in the sights of how everything looks. But then there's also the strategy camera. Or really, it's more of like a tactical style camera. Basically, it goes into like into like a sort of overhead view, and you're able to, it becomes more or less a strategy, like tactical style game like Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics. You're able to like move on certain areas and like attack enemies in a strategy style way. And I don't really think that's really required. I don't ever really go into that sort of camera angle. I do try it, like maybe if I'll sometimes get into it, but I usually don't really bother with that. I'm perfectly fine with the action's third-person style camera. I'm not saying that those sort of games are bad. I'm just saying that the game, from what it is, it doesn't really require it. Another problem that I have with the game is, again, with the character creator. There doesn't seem to really be that many options in terms of, well, in terms of like a variety of how your character can look. It does that job very well, but this is more of a nitpick, but your character's voice, you're able to like have your character like actually talk during the game, so he's not like the silent style protagonist that we see in most other games like this, like the Elder Scrolls or stuff like that. But I'm not sure if this applies to all of the races, because there is more than one race in the game. But for example, again, my character was an elf, and no matter what gender your character has, you're pretty much only limited to 2 voices, and like the little tidbits of what you'll be able to hear what your character sounds like, there's only a couple options of what you can make your character say, and they seem to repeat most of the time. So I really think they could have put like more of a variety of different voice types, and like more options of what you can hear your character say, instead of it, for the most part, being randomly generated. Now, another problem that I have is with the overall like production of it. Like, I'm not saying the game looks bad. The game looks great. The cutscenes they're very well animated. The orchestrated soundtrack is very wonderful to listen to. The voice acting is very top notch. But if you're playing this on like the 360, I'm pretty sure this also came out for like the Xbox One, and that will most likely have less of a problem, the problem that I'm about to talk about. But in certain areas, it seems like it sort of like degrades in terms of like the way it looks. Like, sometimes you'll see things like you're able to like equip different items to your character, and sometimes it will like be blurred out and then start fading into a more clear style. That kind of distracts me whenever I'm picking up a new like item and I want to equip it. There are also a couple times where I feel like the game can look a bit too, I don't really want to say dull, because again, the game looks and sounds perfectly fine. It's just that there are times where the game doesn't really look like it's really putting that much real effort in terms of like I wouldn't say draw distance, because you can see a whole lot from where your character sees. It like sort of like degrades in like the color scheme and like the polygons, if I'm really saying that correctly. Sometimes it can look a bit like a bit I guess I could sort of say dull, but it doesn't happen all the time, so it's not a humongous problem that really deteriorates the game. So that doesn't really bother me that much, but I still think it's a problem that I'm pretty sure only the 360, and if it was available on different consoles like the PS3, that's most likely its problem because of like limitations. But if it's on the Xbox One and PS4, and the problems aren't really there, then that's perfectly fine. So that's all I can really say about Dragon Age Inquisition. Overall, I really do think the game has potential. There's a whole lot, most likely, to this game in terms of the story, the different type of ways you can level up your character, the different abilities they can unlock, all the different party members you can have, all that. There's a lot of depth, but there's also a lot of stuff that sort of deteriorates it. There's not that much variety in terms of like how you can make your characters distinct from one another. And like I said, the game has a bunch of stuff that may seem like has a lot of variety, but I don't really find it to be that much required. So, do I think the game is overall not that good? No, not by a long shot. Do I think the game is perfect? Not exactly. Is it a game that I'll most likely try and go back to and see if I can get into it? Most definitely, because I really want to try and get more into this game, because like I said, I feel like I'm like missing so much more stuff that's in this game that I haven't even talked about. But as of right now, out of a 5-star rating, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. That's not because I think the game's bad, I just want to get that out of the way. It's just that I haven't gotten far into it, and I don't really think I can give it a proper, perfect, or mid-tier score until I get more and more into the game and learn more of how the mechanics are. So, right now it's a 2 out of 5, but once I get more into it, it'll go up to a average 3 out of 5. If I do actually start liking the game a whole lot more, I'll probably even make it up to a 4. But I don't really think that it deserves much of a perfect score, because again, no game is perfect, and this game is not perfect by any sort of means. Now, should you buy it? If you're into RPG style games like Mass Effect or Knights of the Old Republic, then I do recommend you get this. If you've played all the other Dragon Age games, which I haven't, and you're interested in how the series will go for this new one, then you most likely would want to get it. But then again, it's been out for quite a while actually, so you probably already got it to begin with. But yeah, that was Dragon Age Inquisition, and only one more game to do for my holiday game series, so I will see you next time with The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion Game of the Year Edition. Until then, I am Benjamin Contreras, and bye.